Hey y'all, watch this. Today I'm going to talk about spatulas. So here, hold my beer. Now, both of these things are called spatulas, even though both of them don't do the same thing. They're like two different tools for two different things, doing two different things, just like shovels. People say, "Oh, I want a shovel," and then you bring them a shovel, and they say, "No, I don't want that. I want the pointy shovel." Well, a pointy shovel ain't called a shovel; it's called a spade. Uh, we'll get into that more later. But these things are both called spatulas, but they probably shouldn't be. We should probably rename one of them. I got ideas as to which one should get renamed and why. But this one is the spatula like for flipping things, and this is for scooping things out. Now, I've been interested in languageology, and I started taking British as a foreign language. And I learned in British, some of the people are calling this thing a fish slice. Can you believe that? What the heck about this is a fish or a slice? They must have had a contest. What's the stupidest thing we could ever name this? And that's what they came up with. But yeah, that's certainly a name that's not going to catch on, I bet you. Because who would ever name that a fish slice? You got to really be a foreigner to come up with something like that. Certainly not speaking American. But both of these are called spatulas, which came from Latin. Latin, imagine of all that. A lot of stuff in English, or I guess British too, is from Latin because the Romans moved in there, and then that got into our language over here too. So this one was like they're flat pieces of metal used to be called like a spatula. And this one was like a broadsword, and this one was like a little broadsword. And then this one became just any old flat piece, and this one became like a little spade. Now, if you know spades, you got right here. There's a spade and a shovel. Shovels for scooping stuff off the floor, like a snow shovel or a coal shovel or something like that. A spade is for digging a hole. And the spade of the carded decks is actually named after a spade. And they even draw a little cartoon of a spade there on it. That's the end of the spade for digging the hole. So, if you just call a spade, you wouldn't have that much trouble. You say, give me a shovel, it'd bring you a shovel. You say, give me a spade, they bring you a spade. You get what you want. But when you say, bring me a spatula, what the heck? Which one are they going to bring? We got to rename one of them. And both of them came from Latin. And the Latin came from the Catholic priest decided what that was. And in Latin, they go like to think things are masculine and feminine, even when they ain't. Like, this ain't masculine or feminine. This ain't masculine or feminine. But they say, oh, they're spatulas. Ends in an A, it's feminine. Ends in an O, it's masculine. Except one thing they said is hand is mano, but the Catholic priest decided to say that was feminine, and who the heck knows what the hell they were thinking of when they came up with that. But they came up with it. But, so, the best thing I figured is we ought to call one of these a spatula and the other one a spatulo. The male one and the female one. So, I guess this one's the spatula because it was the broadsword, but it was broad, like a broad, and this one was a spade for like going into holes, so it should be the spatulo. Now, write in the comments which one you think should be the spatulo, if you disagree with me or if you agree with me. So I say from now on, let's just say spatula for this one and spatulo for that one. And then we all know what we're talking about. How about that? What do you think? Put it in the comments.
Now that's a good video worth sharing.